it's not, you don't discuss this with the trainee and in a real case. You don't sit with the trainee after every case or say, okay, tell me what went well, and then you talking about what went well, and then they're asking about what you can improve. It just becomes a bit not natural process.
Yes.
But do you see any place where it can be useful? This kind of feedback where you're discussing this in detail, where it doesn't look very unnatural. You might not do every step, but still, this kind of a feedback might be useful to say, for example, when there has been a significant complication, and when your trainee morale is so low, and he's just battering himself, saying that, hey, what did I do now? I'll give you an example. Probably a year ago, so my trainee called me and said, can I come and speak to you? When I say something, can I come and speak to you, that something's gone wrong. He said, okay, we'll have a chat. And then he said, I was doing an EUS with Damien, who's the surgeon who does EUS, and had his facial operation. And he could see he's really shattered about it. And in those situations, okay, I think as a trainer, you can just sit down, okay, you just listen to him. That's what he meant by clarify matters of fact, what happened, and then you were just discussing the whole, you just let him open up. I mean, having a chat with him, let him, what happened, how's the patient now, what did they do. So he explained about it, got a CT scan done, patient's comfortable, admitted the surgeons. And then slowly you talk about, okay, so there are a lot of things which went right well, so you recognize it immediately that there was a perforation. It was not that the patient was in significant discomfort, you recognize it later, you immediately recognize it. To support you, Damien, the surgeon, was there with you, which means that you had the right support, you organized the investigations, right, and the patient's admitted with the surgeons. So a lot of things have gone right here. And the patient, most importantly, the patient is well now. So I think you're just making sure that you added what a lot of things went well. And then you were discussing about, again, you might not want to discuss the whole thing in detail about what is that he's going to criticize it, but I said, you go back and think about, try to see, sometimes write it down in yours, and what is that happened, and is there anything which you can mind differently next time? But he was happy to discuss about it right now because it's been a day after the procedure. And then when we discuss, then we say, okay, do you think there was an extra pressure, or why do you think you might have perforated, what could have contributed? And he said, no, I did anything similar to what I did normally. I don't think I made anything different. Okay, then in that case, sometimes the scope tip is a bit longer with compared to EUS scope compared to ERCP. Probably if you're having a little bit of difficulty, next time you might consider putting a balloon in and inflating it slightly, and then start intubating with the balloon, and that might be useful next time. So we took that as the learning point as what you could do differently next time. So this kind of a feedback is still useful, but not exactly the same structure. But most of the time, what is really useful in a day-to-day, on a case-by-case, is what we call as a performance-enhancing feedback. So you've done the procedure, and you said, oh, how was that? Okay, always as Shanil said, they try to talk about the negatives. Oh, again, this happened, or the sphincterotomy, I just couldn't get the position in the right position, or something like that. And then you just say, okay, you did that, but then during the procedure, I say you do this maneuver, and you managed to do that, you still achieve that. So it's just a quick, less than 5 minutes sometimes, you're reinforcing what you did. That will be a very natural kind of a feedback you have.
Doing a list, yeah.
Doing the list. So again, we have this concept of what's called a performance enhancing intervention. That's the trainer concept is you intervene and tell them exactly what to you verbalize. again, there are two ways of doing it. You can communicate with them in your objective setting beforehand this procedure. You can discuss with them as to how much involvement you want from me. Okay. Again, this is, if you know this is a regular trainee, then you already have that rapport. But if a new trainee, then you can have a discussion as to how much communication. You want me to give a running commentary, or do you prefer that I intervene if there are senior trainees, intervene when required, or do you prefer that I give an option about that I ask you what is that you want to do, and then the trainee, it can be trainee level. Sometimes what works for some trainees is that rather than you telling them what to do, they say, okay, let's take a pause. What is that you can do next? You fail this, okay, is there anything you can do? Let them give you the suggestions, and if they fail, then you tell them what is that they can do to improve it. But some people say that no, I just prefer that you talk about it. But because if some trainers, if always they're talking too much, they have a lot of cognitive overload, it's not helpful to them. It actually makes them more, distracts them more. Sometimes taking a pause, not speaking much might be helpful for some trainees. So having that kind of a communication with the trainees beforehand might find useful. What's your experience with your trainees?
It's much useful to get these talk, I think, precisely to the point.
Right.
But if we talk too much or too much we comment on the training, then I'm sure it's affected cognitive thinking or to form the next steps. I think it's better to intervene timely but precisely and specifically.
Okay.
But I think running commentary or too much talking or conversation during the procedure, I think it distracts the procedure.
Right.
Because ERCP means very little movements, minute movements. If you can do this, I think better to intervene precisely and timely.
Yeah.
One of the other things you could start off with is basically you can ask them to verbalize. It's hard to think on your feet. If you're doing a procedure, it's hard to tell, okay, so tip up, small wheel, or tip right, okay, I'm just insufflating some air. It's hard to do both things together. If you ask them, say, look, let's break it down. I would like you to verbalize each step as you go along. Then at least I understand what you're doing, and at least you then understand how you're actually getting there. So rather than you have to then come back and think, so how did you get from here to here? So at least it gives them an opportunity to just at least think on their feet, and at the same time, it becomes easier for them to just look back. How did we get there based on that?
So we've got 5 minutes. Shall we do an exercise? Just by putting you on the spot. Shall I put you on the spot? Okay. Right. So you have to teach us in 5 minutes how to take a stone out from the environment.
Do I have to just tell the procedure or just have to explain it?
No, I'll leave it to you. I've given you 5 minutes. Shanil will keep it timing. At the end of 4 minutes, you will get a alarm bell, and then you decide what you want to teach, or how much you want to teach. But 4 or 5 minutes, you have to teach us how to extract the stone from the environment.
Right, do here or do there?
Wherever you decide the setting, everything.
Okay, so that's what I like to do is let's have a small group discussion on this. It's like I'm going to tell you about stone extraction. Stone extraction by a balloon. So talking about stone extraction balloon. I need to draw some things.
Do you need this?
Oh, I have. If it's visible to everyone. So I have a little question for you that what is your most preferred modality for an uncomplicated stone to remove the stone?
With a balloon.
With a balloon. And mostly you are using a balloon. So this is a dilated CBD, and you are here and you have managed to put in the guide wire, and you've done the cholangiogram, which shows that the wire is inside and the duct is dilated, and you have a balloon. You have a stone over here. So what would you prefer while starting the process of balloon extraction? You have think out loud. Just give it one line.
Sorry.
Tell me what will you do with the balloon? this stone down.
Take the balloon out. First inject the dye.
Dye is injected, this is dilated, and the cholangiogram shows a dilated CBD with a
Take the
small
balloon above the stone.
So
Inflate the
you would like to take the balloon above the stone. What would be you want?
Have you done this sphincterotomy?
I mean, it's just the wire is
So,
there.
yesterday we will do
So
this
what would you
sphincterotomy.
do? So you would take the sphincterotome, you'll advanced it and you've highlighted it, you've brought it back, and while bringing it back, you're going to assess the ampulla. And what I do with the ampulla is while bringing the sphincterotome back, I make it a little like a quarter bow. And when you do a quarter bow and you pull it, the ampulla slightly protrudes out, and then you can see the margins of the ampulla away from the duodenal wall. So this is a sort of a cheat sheet that I do. After that, I start cutting, and from the opening of the ampulla till the end of the fold that I see over here, I can cut that. And then I have to assess that if it is an ample sphincterotomy, or if there is any, if I need to go more. So I go inside, I half bow the sphincterotome and bring it back again. Once doing that, if it is comfortable, if it is not, I need to extend the sphincterotomy while again keeping in view the second margin of the fold, which I have to stay away from, and of course taking into account the direction of the cut towards 11 o'clock. If I need to extend and another sweep of sphincterotome, if it is comfortable, then we take the balloon in. Balloon goes in. Now what would you like to do over there?
Now, balloon is inside, so we have to go above the. Actually, I would like to know how many stones are there. If it is a single
This
stone,
is the cholangiogram.
This is the cholangiogram. Then I will go above and ask my technician to inflate the balloon and then try to take it out.
Okay. So you would like to take it above that. You would also do that.
Same as
Now, if there are two balloons, two stones, what would you do?
I will take one by one. Try to take one by one.
So the key point over here is if there are two balloons, you take it all the way up till here. You try to inflate it and take out one. Now, what steps can you do to take out the balloon?
To take out the balloon.
4
And-
times.
Okay. So the technique that is involved in taking out the balloon is first you have to inflate the balloon, then you ask the system to lock it, then you pull it back till you can see that it is almost down as much as it is as much as you can up till the lower end of CBD. And when it is there, there is one maneuver that you have to do that can assist you. What I like to do is I take the bridge and I take the bridge up, and in that way the bridge is sort of holding against the scope over here. The bridge holds it, and then there is a little maneuver that I like to do is I twist the scope clockwise and push it inside while maintaining a sort of tension on my hands. When I have taken out the balloon, I take 2 fingers and then I grab the stalk of the balloon and then I lock it and then I
Stop it. Right, so the focus is, thanks for being sporty, so the focus is not him, the focus is actually on, I'll put the focus on you now, okay? So your task is to give feedback to him. So you have to give him a performance enhancing feedback. And then we will all comment on, in a sense, about the feedback. So just, you have a feedback session with him as to how
So
his
it's a feedback. It seems
About
to be
his-
his performance. It could be a criticism as well.
correct.
We can-
So you're
I am just. It's not a trainee giving the feedback. It's a feedback which is
How
being
did you
given.
feel about my
about
explanation?
his expression.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I give him a task and he delivered it. So you give
I
a
think
feedback.
from the beginning, he's.
No, you talk to him. You talk to him.
Yeah.
You get
Okay.
give a feedback.
From the beginning, you must have. I don't know whether you know about me or not very well. That how much experience I am. So you have
technically
started.
speaking, when we're
So,
talking to a
yeah.
trainee, we know okay, what
This
I'm
is-
trying to explain.
This is what, it would have been better, you have a task, our experience, and then you would start explaining about these things, first thing. Then you do much time describing about the cannulation and all other anatomy, which if you think I'm an experienced person, though it is not required, and since the task is to explain about the extraction of the stone by balloon, so you have to tell about me, about the multiple type of stones, and how would you like to, it's maybe a difficult one or easier one, and then you have to tell me about different type of balloons as well. And one thing you you did not describe is if it is a large stone, then how would you do that? Right? I'm talking about the sphincteroplasty. So this is, otherwise you have explained very good all the things. That's what I can say.
Excellent. Okay. Right. Okay. So now we'll actually focus on the feedback, right? So if we have to talk about the feedback as such, so how do you think the feedback went?
I think it describes quite precisely all the things. Initially, he should ask about the experience of the next colleague, how much he experienced.
So before that, did the trainees did he speak at all? In this feedback, did he speak?
No.
Okay. So he jumped into talking about giving a feedback to him without even assessing
Competence.
what is that he felt about. So sometimes it's just easier to just open up and say, how did it go for you? How was it for you? I'm asking, how was it for you?
The feedback?
No, how was this? How you did? I asked you, I gave you a task. So how was it? And then you delivered it.
Yes.
So how was it for you?
First I did not know where to begin and where to stop. So this was so I tried to make it as precise, and whatever I could do in 4 seconds, 4 minutes I did, and then I had to rush at the little towards the end so that I could at least complete the procedural steps. So initial start was comfortable. I knew what to cover and what to say. Then I took a cue from him that I have to explain about sphincterotomy as well while talking about the balloon extraction, which I almost nearly forgot. And then when we talked about that and taking it from sphincterotomy to balloon extraction, I did what I could say in 5 minutes.
I mean, I know it'll only take 1 or 2 minutes, but just letting the trainee, assuming he's a trainee and you listener, to let him speak first.
Right.
What do you think? And then you need to add after that, just 1 or 2 comments about, no, you did great. You are put in the spot, and then in the spot you managed to cover that, and then you have some visual cues as well. You use the diagram, and then you involve all the audience. That's great. So just reinforce a little bit about what they did good, and then you give them 1 or 2 points which he can do differently next time, and then you highlighted probably to gauge the audience, and then you mentioned about you didn't know what their experience was, so you might be talking too basic for them because they're already trainers. So assessing their experience and then targeting the audience would have been great. Similarly, any other comments to improve this next time session? Any comments from?
Maybe we didn't have a talk, or maybe you've got plan to cover it in terms of sort of setting. You start off that this is your task, so you make it loud and clear, keeping in mind your objective. So in this 3-4 minutes, my objective is to talk to you about this. I assume you all have an understanding of this, and I'm going to focus on this aspect. So you're setting out the objective, and then you expand on this with the dialogue. And in the end, your last 1 minute, you actually close on. So this is what we've kind of done it, and you may or may not have noticed it. You had a disruptive. You had a disruptive person.
I did not notice
He did not. He was so focused. He didn't affect him.
And also, I think you did include people who were maybe in your.
My field of vision, जो मेरा था ना वो that was all.
All this.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a focused.
So that is kind of it, because what we do is, because you clearly have knowledge on this, and I think Sisha said it's very good to use your audiovisual aids, which you clearly get. Sticking to those basic principles of setting out an objective, making sure you've got a very good dialogue, and then you're closing it. So you ensure your smart objectives is kind of used to.
Yeah, so I think basically coming to the feedback point of view, I think what this exercise wanted to emphasize is that in a sense, it's a very quick 5 minutes one, you just let the trainee speak about what the positive things were, you reinforce it, and then give him one or two very specific things which he is going to change. And one really good point which you mentioned, which is going to enhance his next time, is that he will assess the audience experience. And then the other thing which you could have done is that because they're all experienced ones.
One thing, the details are certainly.
No, that is what your feedback should be.
Yeah.
So you can say that in 5 minutes.
Because
it was
say
too much.
we take the because it's on the paper, it's very difficult to explain the techniques and the maneuvers.
Correct.
Because in this way you can lose the attention of the audience or the colleagues.
Yeah.
You just, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, you just say, okay, we have to thread a balloon. First we cannulate, inject the dye, assess the size of the stone. Then we could have a good sphincterotomy. If it's a stone is big size, then we plan to sphincteroplasty. The possible complications could be bleeding or perforation like this. Because if you say like we have to quarter bow or full bow, it's very difficult for a layman or for an urban resident to understand on the piece of paper what is small bow or quarter bow like this. If we point out or mark the broad points or solid points, it would be much easier for the audience to grasp the.
So the objective here is not him.
No, not him.
Objective is
not him.
Objective was him, and then objective was us.
See, because the idea was for give the feedback. So not about the content of it. So the feedback what he is giving, which is going to improve next time, one is enough. So is that for him to gauge their audience, understand their what their experience is, and target them. So probably one of the things which you can tell him is that next time when the same thing happens, somebody gives you a task, ask us probably. You can even ask us what is that we want to discuss. I've got only 5 minutes to discuss. I do you all do balloon extraction. Is there anything you think will be worthwhile discussing? And then somebody say, oh, with I do EHL or I all do spyglass, but with EHL it always keeps breaking. Is there anything we can go? Let's just talk about it. Only 5 minutes. EHL probes keep breaking down. What is that you do differently? Something like that, which is you might change differently how you do that. So you've got only 5 minutes in your regular list. This is just to give an example of a
Very deceptive task.
deceptive.
He talked for us.
Yeah.
He was pointed.
So the idea of what Nadeem was saying is
Actually,
that
I knew what was going on, so इसलिए
this is
I wanted to keep it as focused as possible.
Important चीज़ों में ये होता है कि you have a framework. You apply that every framework with the same framework everywhere.
That's why I just totally did not get your cue of the pencil. I didn't get that.
एक चीज ये बता यार मुझे कि ये जैसे ये मैंने कहा स्लाइड ऑडियंस का जो हुआ है अब वो इसमें एक तो वही तरीका है जैसे आप लोगों ने अभी शुरू किया कि इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ दिस इज बट he had only 5 minutes. So how do we either we say yes doctor colleagues we know you are a good experience, this is how we show that I have targeted, I have judged the audience. I know Mr. So-and-so, you have so much experience, but this is my task, this is the topic. So can we start like this? If he could have started like this. And after saying this, I know you people don't know about these things, but this is the topic, is this.
No, you could have done it. There's so many different ways you can do it. There's no right
This is the
way.
assist, yeah.
But the task was mainly on you to see that whether you need anything.
Yeah, I'm
She
just
can
talking about
correct.
biryani in that case. If he had started in that way, so that would be okay as well. Okay, I know you people have an experience of this, but my topic is this, so I'm explaining it.
Yeah.
If I would do it again, I would rather do it a little differently. Well, if talking about just explaining and then coming back, taking cue from you, is that we all do balloon extractions. I have a slightly different technique that I want to show. So I would have taken it down.
You got 2 minutes, okay. Right, so I think to summarize everything we've done since this session started with the trainers is that there is a concept called as a set, dialogue, closure. Set is just you before you even go into the ERCP room, right? So you assess the trainee, right? Then you assess what the trainee's experience is, how much they know, what is that they want to achieve, and then you align agendas. When I say align agenda, which means that you know what is your list, how busy your list is, what time you need to finish, whether you can train in the trainee, whether they are going to train in all the so you know exactly, you align your agendas. When you set the objective, you set the objectives for that case or the list, and then you set some ground rules. Okay, so it's important to know what is that you discuss about when you're going to take the scope over, how are you communicating to each other. When you say stop or pause, what does it mean? Because the tendency is they don't still keep holding the scope, otherwise they'll have a tendency to still hold the scope from you. So when I say yes, so I'll give it back to you. So setting some ground rules. So this is all that which happens before you go into the room, right? And then dialogue is about what is the communication you're having with the trainee in the room. So you're having a very clear communication and which is very concise, not talking too much, knowing what to do. And then what we discuss about whatever you say should make them do something different, which is a performance enhancing intervention, or what we call as PEI. And then the closure is about the feedback. So this is again performance enhancing feedback, which we just discussed about, which again is about 5 minutes realistic, which we can be achieved at the end of the list. So I think you will use this, try to use this concept a little bit on the model training when we go now as well. We'll probably have a trainee, right? The one, the basic trainee.
Basic training.
So you
On the mannequin.
On the mannequin. We can't do the whole thing in that setting, but at least when we're doing the mannequin, we'll try to have a bit of you'll have a dialogue with them properly, and then this concept we'll try to use it for one case each on the one on tomorrow, where you have a real trainee, real case. We do a proper objective setting, and then you have a dialogue and a bit of a feedback as well. Right. Okay.
Was our intervention